What is going on, everybody? This is Zach, and I'm back with another episode of Man to Mic. Just a couple of gentlemen just sitting here struggling together. I'm struggling more than most people, it seems like. We just sit here and recorded for a few minutes, and I didn't even turn the cameras on. And so we're going to restart fresh. We was only 2 minutes in, so that's okay. But I am joined today by Mr. David King. And what I was saying when the cameras were not rolling is, I've known David for a few years now, just kind of working for him, like doing family photos and stuff like that, but I don't really know him. And that's one thing that I'm loving a lot about doing this, is sitting here and like talking to people that I know nothing about. And it just gets interesting, man. And so it's really cool. There's a lot of freedom here. And so I just want you to introduce yourself a little bit, and let's just see what happens.
Yeah. So David King, here, born and raised, Knoxville, Powell, Carnes area.
Yeah. Where'd you go to school?
Went to Temple, right behind Powell High School.
Oh, yeah.
Off Beaver Creek.
Yeah.
14 years.
That's a long time to be indoctrinated up in there.
K4 graduated.
Gosh, man. So was that just, and did you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah. So we were all, I got a younger brother and younger sister.
Gotcha.
So I was the example.
Oh, yeah. Shining example. That's what I'm talking about. And so how were you as a kid? Like, were you...
Trouble.
Yeah. Like you just going against the grain?
Always. I remember getting my mouth washed out with soap at second grade, third grade. Always had the worms in my apple at younger ages.
Yeah, dude. So what was it like just kind of growing up, man? Were you into sports or anything like that?
Yeah. Well, not really. I played soccer.
Yeah.
It was second grade up and through junior of high school.
Gotcha. So what did you like to do as a kid?
So I got into technology really young. I started getting into computers and IT at 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, because you got like a whole server system at your house, don't you? You're hosting all kinds of stuff up there.
Yeah.
I'd say.
So I was kind of the outcast in school,
Yeah.
But that's where I started diving in. And
yeah. What do you think kind of made you the outcast? Just were you was just in trouble and stuff all the time? Or?
No, it's I don't know. It's weird. I was always the smallest in class.
Yeah.
So I didn't really hit my growth spurt until senior year.
Gotcha. So were you like
being a nerd? It's not really cool back then.
Yeah. It's funny how it shifted now though, man. Because I got a kid in high school and stuff, and like it's
now it's the cool thing.
It is cool. I was talking about this the other day, but it was like band. Like my oldest son's really into the band, and like he wants to be in a big orchestra, and I'm just like when he was first in band, I was like, bro. But like
one of those.
Bro, then he gets out of the car and there's like 6 little girls like, Aiden, want to drop him off at school. And it's just like, okay, this is a different time that we're living in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. So what was the kind of family dynamic like? Obviously very spiritual, I would imagine.
Yeah, born and raised, went to church 3 times a week. Had to attend church to be on the soccer team and do visitation and all the organized religion, the strict.
How are you with religion today?
Now it's opened my mind and I kind of dissect things more. I kind of still have resentment towards like organized religion at churches.
I totally understand that.
Like it now, if I go to church there, it's still like you can tell like
it's a little,
go in jeans and a sport coat and you're like
weird.
You're not wearing a suit and tie.
Yeah, no, I totally get that, especially with where you were at. Like it's very
it's my relationship with God. It's not it's not a show.
I don't know if I can say this, but it's a little cult like over there.
Yep. No,
I mean
that's a lot of the. I don't know what it's like now. I mean, I graduated in 2004, so I know that things have changed, but I don't.
Yeah. So, like, where? At what point did you kind of start changing, or did you always kind of go against the grain of organized religion?
No.
Or I guess at some point you're still young and you just don't know better.
It was. I wanted to ask questions and wanted to dig into things, and there was most of the responses we got were, well, the Bible says so. Or
Yeah.
like I'm trying to like learn and try to figure and
The
inquire
why.
about and it was always the Bible says so. The Bible says so. And it was very very straight laced, very narrow minded.
Yeah, because I think that Christianity is so. I think that like the church culture in America, we have confined it to such a box that it is not. It is not in a box. It can't be contained in a box. It is pure freedom once you realize what it really is. And it's like I see so many people stressing over checking off all these boxes, and it's like there's so much just freedom in Christ that like why are we doing all this? It's all so tradition based, like
Right,
especially like in the Southern Baptist culture, dude. And it's like I would love to see some people break away from that more, and I guess people are, but yeah, dude. So do you go very often anywhere?
Not so much anymore. Go to Grace every now and then.
Yeah, I've never been over there, but I'm not a huge fan. I don't like big churches. Like I'm just not.
It's a little still on edge. You can still.
Yeah, because for
bothers
me,
me a
it's
bit.
like, at what point are we trying to reach people, and what point are we trying to make some money? Because in my mind, like once a church it like gets to be a certain size, it's time for that church to divide and multiply. Like it's a whole biblical principle, but it's just like we're just growing and growing and growing to bigger buildings.
Mega churches.
Yeah, dude. And it's just like, but at the same time, people feel like they got to keep up with all this extra stuff, man. I feel like in church culture, and it's just like, just go live your life.
Yeah,
And like,
the whole come as you are is not. No, you
No,
come as you are.
Jesus
You're
wasn't up in
judged.
there in
The
a-
judgment
in a
gets
three-piece
cast
suit,
upon you.
double-breasted, you know what I mean? A really dignified gentleman.
Right.
You know, I'd have to imagine he was a little rough around the edges. But yeah, dude, because I was raised really strict. My dad was Pentecostal, like holy rolling Pentecostal. And then my mom was laid back Southern Baptist.
Okay.
And so every other Sunday I was in a different church.
Oh,
But my
that can be
dad.
confusing as a child.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I don't know what they was doing up in the Pentecostal church because it was getting weird up in there sometimes, you know? And, like, I don't know if some snakes was about to come out or something, you know? But it was just, I don't know, man. And it was such an extreme thing, and I'm a very extreme person. And like there was a part, I'm very charismatic. Like when I do get into like talking like biblically, I'm very charismatic about it. Like I enjoy it and I get really passionate about it. So, and sometimes it's detrimental. Sometimes I can't talk about religion because I don't know, like I know my limits and I know I'll cross that boundary. And because I love discussing it, it's one of my favorite topics to discuss. And but anyway, but I enjoy thinking, and it gives me a lot to meditate on. I mean, because there's solid principles.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a very smart man, you know. But anyway, so what did you do like kind of right after high school?
So moved out at 18, fled the scene and went buck wild, went crazy.
Yeah.
Within the same 2 weeks of me moving out, moved out, bought my first car, got the job at Pilot. All it was a big shell shock.
Yeah.
And it was a lot.
Yeah. So have you ever, like, did you ever get, like, into addiction of any kind? Like, I know you've, because me, like, I went off the deep end, bro. Like, because I was really, really strict. I lived with my dad from 9 to 16, and he was, like, super, like, drill sergeant strict. Well, DCS pulled us from the house when I was 16. I went to go live with my mom. And when I went to live with my mom, there was so much freedom there, you know, because she knew what it was like to be married to my dad, to be around my dad and how strict he was. And I was 16. I didn't really have a lot of friends. I had isolated myself. And so at 16, I'm out, you know, I'm off to the races, dude.
Yeah, I was fortunate. I didn't have, mom and dad are still married.
Yeah.
83, I think.
Yeah.
didn't have to go through that, but it was more of a never got to experience anything. So just any and everything I could get my hands on.
Yeah.
First thing I did, went to Wicked Ink on Clinton Highway. Picked the tattoo out of the book.
That's where I got my very first tattoo on my 18th
Some
birthday.
tribal thing on my back. It's
Yep.
now covered up.
For sure. I covered mine last year. That's funny, man.
Yeah, just being reckless. Very fortunate to survive. A lot of individuals that leave that scene, they just go ham, and they don't survive. They lost a lot of people, overdose, suicide, that kind of thing, and there's a handful of us that were able to. The pendulum went like far one way, but we were able to get it kind of back on track. And,
I mean, it has to be tough. Because even though I was raised strict, I wasn't raised that type of strict. You know what I mean? Like, it was really encouraged, and, like, there was obviously no cussing or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it was, I don't know. It wasn't like, I can imagine what it was like. And because, you know, I know a lot of people that are like LDS and stuff. And then some of those that have left LDS, same thing. Like, the family doesn't talk to you anymore, or, like, you're kind of shunned.
Yeah.
And, like, there's like consequences for it.
Yeah.
And like sometimes they have like a high suicide rate and stuff. And it's sad, man.
It's I mean, I'll preface a lot of things I'll talk about and say I love my parents to death.
Yeah.
And there were some hard times, and when I rebelled, and they could see the path I was going down, and it wasn't a good path.
Yeah.
And they didn't quite understand.
Yeah. And I'm sure it was a fearful thing for them. Like, as a parent, you don't know what to do, maybe, and you.
Yeah. So we, I guess a couple years ago, we kind of hashed it all out. I harbored so much resentment against them, and I was the one that kind of kept to myself and held back. And I'll never forget it. It was mom and dad could tell it was during the divorce, and they could tell something wasn't right. And Mom said, we were on the phone. Mom said, you know, you can call us at any time. And it was like, I got to seize the moment. And I said, no, I can't.
Yeah.
And then 6 hours of conversation. Like, it was. And our relationship has been perfect since.
Dude,
just kind of clean the air, and it was kind of a little big weight off my shoulders.
For sure, dude. I would love to be able to get to that spot with Dad at some point where we could have that.
You guys, you're on bad terms right now.
Yeah, it's not good. I'm just done, man. Like, I've just done. It's just not worth it for me anymore. And I hate it, and it kills me. I don't like it, and it eats at me a lot. And especially over these last few weeks, Christmas, my birthday, and all this stuff. And I don't know. It was just, I don't like it. And I would give absolutely anything to be able to have one of them reconciling, like, conversations. But it can't be a one-sided deal, and that's always my problem. It's a one-sided deal. Because I'm more than happy to deal with anything that I'm in the wrong with. I have never had a problem with just saying, yep, I'm wrong on that one. You know, because why not? Like, why hold on to it and just keep lying about it, you know? And so, yeah, it's tough, but I don't know. You never know. He'll get older, and maybe he'll start thinking about some things. I don't know, dude. So.
Yeah, as they get older, it's going to kind of set in that you're not promised tomorrow. And
for sure. And, like, you know, I was kind of mentioning, like, I'm sure your parents were, like, in that fearful stage, and, like, as a parent of a child that's 16 and a couple others that are teenagers, you know, I'm constantly looking at, like, yo, you're going down this path. And I've been so guilty with my oldest son. And he's so, like, straight and narrow. He's got a solid, he is not me. But, like, in my mind, I'm like, he's going to go down that path. He's going to go down that. Every little thing that he does, I'm like, bro, don't you do that. Don't you do it. But it's a fear for me, even though he's not like me. He's not been through.
And it's a whole different era.
It is a whole different era, too. And at least, like, I feel like he has
me and him we're not crazy close, and it's always going to drive me nuts, and it's all my fault from where I was in addiction when he was young. Fortunately, his mom was able to keep her stuff together. She was never an addict. We just partied together. And when she found out she was pregnant, she stopped, and I did not. I was just getting started. And because, unfortunately, having a child will not stop you from using, and especially I was 18. I didn't even understand anything. Yeah. I'm only been free for 2 years in my mind. Like, I'm experiencing life right now.
Right.
And so it was quite the culture shock for me. But I don't remember where I was going with that because my ADHD is bouncing all over the place right now, dude. I'm really thinking about taking medicine. I've not ever considered it. I actually literally told my wife last night. I was like, I think I might.
It's yeah.
Do you say?
Yes.
Oh, do you?
I have.
Yes.
My entire life.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We got a couple of kids that do. The Cooper, the boy that you saw. Oh boy, he's the human Flash son. He's.
It's a gift and a curse.
It is. It is, and that's where I'm at with it, and that's why I don't know. Like, I've never taken meds. I've never been physically diagnosed with it. It's only been in this last couple of years a realization that I've really kind of had, and it's so obvious. But I just don't know, man. I don't want it to I guess I'm afraid it's going to change me or something.
You gotta. Your doctor, you gotta get the prescription dialed in. It can change you, or it can kind of balance you out.
Yeah. Are you on a stimulant or non-stimulant?
Stimulant.
Okay. Because he wrote me a prescription. I can't remember what it was for. I'm pretty sure it was a non-stimulant. Because, dude, I get jittery as hell on stimulant. I hated cocaine, bro. I could not do cocaine. I was the most jittery, annoying dude ever, man. I remember I would sit there, me and my cousin.
Talk.
Oh, dude, we would sit there and get an 8-ball, and we'd be playing GTA, and we'd be sitting there, and I'd do a line, and it's not even loaded up yet, and I'm sitting here just chiefing cigarettes, man, and I ain't got time for this, and the game's not loading quick enough, and I'm like, the hell with this, and I'll just throw it down, and I'll take 2 hits off a cigarette and then put it out because I don't have time for that either, and I'm like, what else are you doing? Why don't you have time? You're just sitting here.
Yep.
Yep. And so I had some wild times with coke, but I didn't.
That was always never had an issue with addiction, but it was always around.
Yeah.
And that's when I finally came to realize that who I was associating myself with, it was very surprising.
Yeah.
The individuals that casually and once you've done that drug, you can.
Yeah.
You can pick up on
real quick.
You've gone to the bathroom 4 times in the last hour.
And bro, I'm pretty sure you're about to grind them teeth out of your head right now.
Yeah. So it was never a problem. I wasn't the one buying it, but it was just always present.
Yeah. And it's impolite to say no.
Right. Yeah. You're being generous.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Back in the Fiction Tonic.
Man.
Those days.
I remember I wasn't down there very much, but I remember the last time I was down there was an Alice in Wonderland ball. I'm pretty sure that's where it was. Or maybe it was Blue Cats.
Blue Cats, Fiction Tonic, Raw. Yeah,
that's right.
So
but they had this Alice in Wonderland ball, dude. It was trippy as hell, man. I remember, I'm pretty sure I was either on ecstasy or mushrooms, maybe both. It's totally plausible.
Right.
But yeah, dude.
That was one kind of dabbled in a lot of things.
Yeah.
One of the things I always told myself, and I've stuck with it, needles. That was
Yeah, that's a good one to stay away from because I'll tell you firsthand, it'll get you real quick.
Yeah, it's nothing good comes from it.
Oh my gosh, man! It's just it was funny. It's not funny, but there was 2 gentlemen that you might even know. Did you know anybody from Powell? I'm sure you maybe did.
Yeah. I'm sure I did.
Like John Gibson or Josh Gibson or Johnny McCarthy. They graduated the same year as you did. They just went to Powell. And because my stepbrother went to Powell, and that's when he graduated in 2004 also. But I was 18, and I had just been dabbling with hydros and stuff like that. And
yeah, that's one thing I never got in. Dabbled in that.
I got in those early. Hydros, Percocet, stuff like that. And I don't know, man. And like, it was almost like it was just kind of cool, nonchalant thing. Like, you want a couple of hydros? Like, even some adults around me was like, you want some Tic Tacs?
Casual, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You want a
Just snacking on
Tylenol or
it.
a hydro? What you want? And but yeah, so I was dabbling in those, and I moved out of my mom's house on my 18th birthday, and I remember my stepdad came in my bedroom to tell me happy birthday that morning. I was packing a bag, and he was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm leaving." He said, "Don't come back," and I was like, "Okay," and so that's what I did. But I ended up moving in with this girl and her family. And like hindsight, it was a little weird, like thinking back on it
Yeah.
now. And because like she was still in high school, like she was like, a year younger than me or something. And so I'm like, out because I got kicked out of high school like 2 weeks into senior year. I got arrested, taken juvenile, the whole nine.
Oh.
And I was so close to getting away with it too. I was 2 minutes away from getting away with it, and but they got me. And but anyway, so I was dating this girl, and we split up. Like, I was just kind of done, and I went up to Oak Ridge, and I was hanging out with one of my buddies, and he was like, "You want to get high?" I was like, "Bro, I always want to get high." He's like, "You want to get high really fast?" And I'm like, "Yeah, really fast." And so he had loaded up an Oxy 60. And at the time, I'd only been taking Hydro. I'd never even snorted an Oxy at this point. And I remember he hit me, and it was like, looking back now, he hit me right here in my arm, which is like, what kind of addict are you? You don't go right there. Like, my whole shit was bruised for like a week, and I had to explain to my family I fell in the woods.
Some ridiculous excuse.
It was. But I remember like I was standing in the kitchen of this apartment, and he was like, "Want to take his belt off? Count to 5." And I was like, "All right." And he took the belt off. And I said, 1, 2, 3, and like I'm like holding on to the counter, man, and like because I'm going down, and it was that true dragon chasing moment, and like I could never get that high ever again. But I also like I was high for like 36 hours, like high for 36
wow.
hours. Like I was sick as hell at first because that was a lot. But then, I kind of come down and I was enjoying it, but I was high for like 36 straight hours, man. And I swore, I was like, I will never do this again, ever. And it was years later before I actually did. But at that point, I was so strung out just snorting them. I was a functioning addict still at that point. The needle's what made me a non-functioning addict real quick, within 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Because it becomes a totally different high. It's totally different. It becomes a head rush. And so it's not just the high from the pill. It's that head rush that you first get when you do it. It's wild. But that's the craving. And so and that's why people die, because you're constantly chasing the head rush and not just the pill to get you high anymore. And so it becomes 2 separate addictions. You got the addiction to that needle, because that needle's like a safety blanket for you. It makes you feel good, man.
Wow.
You just having it there.
Crazy.
And it's like, even if you don't have a pill and you still have your needle with you, you still feel like you're somewhere okay, because if you find the pill, you can at least get it in your system. And because at that point, I'm snorting one. I've never snorted one after that, dude.
Oh, man.
And then somebody said, "You want to smoke one?" Like, who's smoking pills over here? Smoking no pills. It's a waste,
Very fortunate, it sounds like.
Yeah. And so it was, God, it was the devil, though, man. You talking about losing all of your conscience. None. Like, you're so cold, and it's like, like you can do things, and that you're going to jail. If you do this, you're going to jail.
Yeah,
And you're like,
here's A supposed to be
matter.
equal C.
Consequences don't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. We'll deal with it when it gets here, And that was just like how you live life every single day. Because, like I said, I could go to work and stuff and function, but as soon as I hit that needle, I went to a $300 a day habit. I went from like $90 a day to $300 a day.
Oh, wow.
In 3 weeks. And it might have even been quicker than 3 weeks. And so at that point, there is no working.
No.
You're just going and robbing stores all day long. The misery of I would get up every morning at 7, get ready, and I would be I'd go to Lowe's, and I would get stuff from Lowe's, switch price tags, do returns. And so I'd go to Lowe's on one side of town, return it to a Lowe's on another side of town, then go to Home Depot and do the same thing. Go back to the other side of town and do that. Then I would go to JCPenney because JCPenney would be open by that point. And I'd go in there and steal dress pants from JCPenney. I'd steal 6 pair a day. I wore these baggy-ass jeans, and I'd go in there and I'd stack them up and walk right out and then take them back to it. And I did it every single day. Every day, dude. And JCPenney's,
crazy.
yeah, well, they would give you gift cards, and back then you could take gift cards and like pawn shops and stuff like that would buy them for like pennies on the dollar,
Yeah.
depending on where you would get it from. Like Lowe's and Home Depot was 40 cents on the dollar, Walmart was 50 or 60 cents on the dollar, but nobody wanted to steal from Walmart because you was getting caught.
Oh yeah, they're pressing charges.
You're getting caught, and but yeah, dude, and but Lowe's and Home Depot had return limits. Like your ID number would only allow 3 returns. Well, I learned how to change my ID number, and so I just kept I could change a 1 to a 4,
process.
a 0 to an 8, whatever.
Oh, wow.
An X-Acto knife and a fine tip Sharpie, you can do anything.
Before the QR code things on the back.
And so yeah, we were doing that because back then there was no scanning thing. This was before those other IDs come out, and but like JCPenney's didn't have a return limit, so
Jackpot.
every day. And then we had a dude that would buy Lucas Oil from us and leather gloves, and he run a flea market. And so he was so we would go to Dollar. I remember one time, man, we were in this big body Chevy, and dude was like, I'll buy all you can get. And dude, we went from here to Nashville and hit every dollar store we could and stole all the Lucas Oil. Dude, that whole trunk was full. And what was crazy is we were coming back.
You're lucky you're not buried under the jail.
We got pulled over, and the guy that was driving went to jail. And I was like, if they pop this trunk, we're so done. And he just happened to have a warrant. He was speeding and had a warrant, so they took him. And I didn't have a license because I had a DUI, and the other person with us didn't have a license either. They didn't even ask. They was like, y'all have a good day. And I was like, I see ya. We was out. Oh, dude. Yeah, some sketchy times though, man.
Wow.
Fun sometimes, but
Yeah. Came with a price.
yeah, it came with a heavy price, man.
Yeah, that was my thing. Is always I never got answers on things. So with the kids, I can now tell them why not to do something, a legit reason, and what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah.
And not just because a book says so. And a very generic answer. Probably not the right approach, but
Yeah, because I never got the explanations either. And I feel like it's kind of like where we were at in society and where we were at when we were kids. Like the kid, you just do what you're told. Like we don't have to explain shit to you,
Yep.
And it's just because that generation was a little bit harder and the next one was harder. And we're just kind of softening up a little bit. And we're getting at a spot where we can talk and we understand, you have to communicate. And it's crazy, man, because fundamentally, communication solves pretty much all problems. On relationships. Healthy communication. On all levels, like with your kids, with your spouse, with your parents, with anybody. It's just if we would just all learn to start being real and why lie? Why? To save some face for a little bit, but something you're going to find out, And so just people got to start being real.
that's when talking to my parents, and now Dad and I talk almost every day.
That's awesome, dude.
Fully transparent, and Dad was a huge what's what I'm looking for, not crutch, but he was there for me through the divorce and whatnot. That was a big hard time, but they were just raising us the way they knew how to raise.
Yeah.
So now we're at a time where we can change the mold. We don't have to just carry that down through generations.
Yeah, for sure.
Learn from mistakes, and there's no manual on how to parent.
Yeah. No, there's definitely not.
It's
We got 7 that are very, very different. All of them are very, very different. And you cannot parent any of these kids in this house the same way.
It's crazy, but you know what not to do and how to pass it on down, and our kids are gonna learn from our mistakes, and
That's always the goal, man, to improve on the last generation. Like, that's what I tell my sons. Like, your goal is to always do better than me.
Yep.
Like, even if at the end of your life you feel like it wasn't by much, whatever, you just got to do better than me. Like, I don't know, man.
Like I got paddled. It seemed like every day. Like corporal punishment was
Yeah, like in the house or
paddle.
at school. Do they still?
Both.
Oh, they did it at school.
Oh
over
yeah,
there?
I got paddled my senior year of high school.
Bro, they was serious up there.
But so, I never once laid a hand on the kids.
Yeah.
Talk to them, sit them down, put them on the stairs, then come back.
Yeah.
I know what 2 minutes for a child seems like 2 years.
For sure, man.
To come back and explain to them why they're in trouble, and you have to use that dad voice and
Power of a dad voice, man. It's so funny watching the comparison between like when she says something
Oh,
and
yeah.
I say something. It's totally different, man. And I feel bad sometimes, man. Like women have it tough in some ways when it comes to like parenting and stuff because like they don't get
they have
respect.
that motherly instinct,
Yeah.
and that more nurturing.
Yeah, and
Style of
kids will
parenting.
run all over that, man. And so
The little manipulators.
they are, man. Oh, dude, it's almost like a game up in here. Like I'm gonna catch you, and they try to. Oh yeah, it's
yeah.
fun sometimes, but I love it, dude. I really do. I never would have thought I would have liked having a big family, man. And now I can't see it like any other way. It's so much fun.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, but it's not.
Well, they're at the age now where they
Yeah.
kind of they
all
help each other, and
yeah. And the age groups all work out pretty well. Like everybody kind of like the two youngest are girls and they're only a year apart, and then the two middle are boys and they're only like a year apart, and then it's just so yeah, it all works out pretty well. So all my kids are 5 years apart, and so I got like the bookends in the middle, and then hers kind of filling the gaps there. But so what is what would you say that like you maybe have as a daily struggle as a man? Like, is there anything that you just struggle with on the daily? Like anxiety, depression, anything like that?
no depression. So I mean, listen, I got divorced 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was, we both didn't. We didn't water the marriage from the beginning,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of that. I wasn't who I should have been as a husband, and when everything that happened through the divorce, it was tough.
Yeah.
It was, and that's when I kind of learned. I pulled away from. I knew I could have gone back down that dark path and escape feelings and emotions and kind of dealing with the situation. Putting a Band-Aid on it and just numbing the pain. And that's when I learned, okay, you how to kind of take a step back, and you can have hundreds of acquaintances, but
Yeah.
you got a handful of genuine friends.
Oh yeah.
And
there's
when you-
times where
when
you find out who those
when you
people
go through
are.
times like divorce and whatnot, you learn real quick.
Yeah.
And the individuals that you can actually be transparent with. And it's I mean, we're as men, or as with kids, we're gonna do whatever it takes to provide.
For sure.
The financial struggles and just uncertainty, but I guess for me, how we're wired is we're going to figure it out.
Oh, yeah, we're always gonna figure
we
it
say
out.
we're fine, we're fine, but deep down we're not okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of things that just through life that now I'm at the age of kind of learning how to deal with and process things. So like, back in 2013, I had we were deep in partying. And every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it was just the same routine. And dating a girl, she ended up getting pregnant, and that was a big change.
Yeah.
Well, Aiden ended up having a heart defect, so he was. She went almost full term, and then he was stillborn on my birthday.
Bro.
And that was if you could, like, up to this point, any point in my life of rock bottom, that's where I was. And I escaped with alcohol and partying and just was off the rails.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to deal with it, how to process.
Yeah.
And not having that knowledge and being able to, I don't know, like, how to cope, proper coping mechanisms, and
Yeah.
the easy way is you numb it with drugs, alcohol, and avoiding it, and it's like a lie. I mean, it's always going to catch up to you.
Oh, yeah.
And the more you avoid, the more you ignore it. You're just sweeping it under the rug, and eventually that rug's going to be 5 feet off the ground.
Oh, yeah, for
and
sure.
You got to address it at some point.
Yeah. Dude, that is heavy. Like, that's tough, man. And
Losing a child, even he was with us for a brief moment, but
Yeah.
I don't wish that on my worst enemy.
Yeah.
And
no, because I mean,
it was tough.
it's still like you got all that time, that bonding time, like that pregnancy.
Yeah,
is-
so got Aiden, all 3 kids, and
yeah.
I talked to Remy and Lily. Like, they
Yeah.
have an older brother. She's not
Yeah.
with us, and
And that was in 2013. You said my oldest son, his name's Aiden.
okay,
And he was
didn't know that.
in 08 though. My middle son ZJ, he was born in 13 though, and dude, that's just I can't comprehend. And it's like now that I have all the kids here, losing one, and even the ones that aren't like mine by blood. Like I've got such a bond with these kids now that like I can't.
innocent souls that.
Dude, that's so tough. How long did it take you? Obviously, you don't get over, but how long did it take you just to, I guess, to pull your shit back together and to realize that you got to change some things?
Up until a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, for 5-6 years after that, every year on my birthday I just stayed in bed. Like, it was like a dark day.
Did you all know that was coming?
So yeah, we it was diagnosed. We actually went to Children's Hospital of Pennsylvania to see if we were candidates for an in utero operation, and the defect in the heart valve wasn't diagnosed soon enough, and so he wasn't a candidate. So they wanted to terminate, and that's never okay with me.
Right.
And so like I said, she went almost full term, but then the stress of she had preeclampsia. And it was at that point, like, we got her life or the baby's life, and
Because preeclampsia can get serious
Oh,
real
yeah.
quick. Because my ex-wife, we dealt with that twice, where she had preeclampsia, have the baby, and then a couple of days later it would turn to toxemia both times. So it was nerve-wracking for sure.
yeah. So the stress of labor, and he didn't pull through, but he fought They didn't give him past a few months, and it was just, like I said, almost full term.
Damn, man. What about her? How was she? Did she kind of go off the rails too? Or?
Yeah, we split shortly after. I mean, we both kind of went off there. We were partying hard, but then we just kind of went our separate, dealing with things in our own way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because that would be so hard, man. Like, I just can't comprehend it, I guess. I don't know, man. So, how is it now? Like, when your birthday rolls around now, is it still, obviously it's still tough, but I'm just.
I isolate. I just take that time to myself. Go always put flowers to his grave, and go. Depending on what day it falls on, I'll take the kids, and like I said, I've still got ultrasound pictures, and he's still a part of the family.
Yeah, dude.
It's I won't say getting better if you just learn how to deal with things.
Yeah.
And
Dudes, do you think that situation and then trying to just get refocused and back on track is kind of part of this, maybe the more spiritual type journey that you're on now? Is that influence it at all of just, I don't know, wanting to look at things for like maybe a little more honestly? I don't know, dude.
yeah, I guess more of understanding myself.
Yeah.
Looking back, I mean, I was always either had girlfriends or was always with. I was never alone. And when I started traveling with Pilot, I was forced to be alone.
Yeah.
And I was on the road for, I don't know, 5, 8 years. That wasn't good on a new marriage, being gone
For
3 weeks out of the
sure,
month.
man. Oh, dude, yeah.
So just more of figuring myself out and learning how to deal with 35 years of harboring and resentment and coming to peace. And I don't know.
Yeah. There is something about, like, because I guess you're what, close to 40 now, 39,
38.
40, 38. And so, like, I just turned 36 last week. And it's like, there's something about your mid 30s, man, that makes you just, you start really seeing it for what it is and how short it is, how precious it is. And it's just, that's where I'm at right now, man. And like, there's changes and stuff I'm trying to make in my own life right now. And I need to be putting forward more of an effort on my spiritual journey so I can encourage my kids more in that aspect. And I don't know, man, because I've been on some wild spiritual journeys, man, over the years. And I think it is from a lot of confusion growing up and just totally different things. And I'm always on the search for, like, what is the truth, you know? And I have a pretty good understanding of scripture and stuff. And
Yeah, it was my speech class at the temple, was memorizing chapters of the Bible.
oh, dude. At one point, I wanted to memorize Romans 8, 9, and 10. And I remember I worked really hard on it. I got a good way through 8, and then, I don't know, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. But I remember I heard, I don't know if you know who David Platt is. He was a pastor of a church, and then he kind of took over the Southern Baptist Convention as their president for a little while. But love him. Like, I love him to death. Like, his theology is so solid. And but I remember him getting up and, like, quoting Romans 8, 9, and 10, and, like, before the congregation, in a really humble way. It wasn't like, oh, look what I can do.
Right.
And he did it, and it was just a beautiful thing. And I was like, I just wanted to do that so bad. Of course, my intentions probably would have been different. Like, look what I can do, you know?
Right.
His was really genuine. And but yeah, so yeah, but like, I'm struggling on the spiritual journey right now for sure. Like, I'm having so much trouble getting the momentum, you know. And I think that's anything in life. Once you stop doing something, it's the momentum of getting started again, like going to the gym, doing anything, dieting, anything, is just getting that momentum again. And part of my problem in my spiritual walk was never having, like, I'm very knowledgeable with scripture, but it's a lack of relationship. And like, because I don't know how to communicate with anybody, and I don't know how to, like, I don't know, man. It's such a weird thing. And I think a lot of it, my wife actually kind of introduced me to this concept that I view, like, God in a same sense that I do my dad here on earth, because like, he was the father, the authoritarian figure, and like, that was what love expressed looks like. And so, you know, if you do something wrong, God will just end your life, cut you down.
Right.
You know what I
Strike
mean? Yeah. Like Peaky Blinders, like some Alfie Solomons. He'll just strike you down, bro. God, I love that show. I just watched it again for about the 6th time, I think. Have you ever watched it? Oh, bro.
I've seen clips on TikTok and social media and whatnot.
My favorite. Gosh, dude. It'll make you want to put a razor blade in your hat and just smack somebody with it. But yeah, Alfie Solomons, it's Tom Hardy in the show, and but he's like this, he's an Orthodox Jew, but kind of like a gang leader and stuff. So it's all old school, like, yeah, it's pretty wild though. And but anyway, what do you like to do now? I mean, I know you're like into technology and stuff like that.
Yeah, tech. Got a lot of firearms. Like to shoot.
Yeah.
Really, the last few years. That's the thing, is I've always worked. That's been my go-to. I mean, I started at 15. Remember Big Mama's Karaoke Cafe?
Yeah. Oh,
that was my
yeah.
first job.
Wow.
On Saturdays, Dad would make that drive to Seymour.
Over on Chapman
And
Highway. Yeah.
I was a camera guy for the taping the TV show.
Yeah.
So I've always worked. That's always just grind. Not a good thing, because
Nope.
I contribute that a portion of the demise of my marriage.
For sure.
Same. 80, 90, 100-hour work weeks, and to motorcycles was a big thing until a few months ago. I had a wreck, and it was
You're like, I'm done.
eye-opener. Yeah, I had to have hand surgery and broken ribs.
I've
and-
always wanted one, dude. I've always wanted a Harley just to cruise on. Like, I don't care about going fast anymore, nothing like that. I just want to cruise, but it's like, all these kids, I cannot, dude.
Yeah,
Because it's not if you're going to crash it. It's just when.
Yeah. I had to. Yeah, it was an eye-opening experience.
Yeah.
And then having both kids beg me not to get another one, I was like, all right. So I made them a promise I wouldn't get another one.
Yeah.
Made my mom and dad, my grandmother, a promise that because they worry. I've always been an adrenaline junkie, just 0 to 100.
Yeah.
Always reckless.
See, I'm not like an adrenaline junkie though. Like it's not what it is. I don't know what it is for me, man. I like to go fast, but it's not about the adrenaline of it. I don't think. I don't know what it is because I hate roller coasters. I don't just chase adrenaline or anything that.
No, that's me. Just live and laugh on the edge.
Wow, yeah, dude. Like
pushing the limits and.
Like you want to go skydiving? Hell no, I don't want to go skydiving.
I want to so bad.
Maybe really. Maybe you should, man. My tattoo girl, she's been a couple of times now. I think she busted her eardrum the last time that she jumped, though.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't think she had her earplugs in or something like that. But I mean, which I could totally see happening. You know?
Yeah.
But you got quite a few tattoos, don't you?
Yeah, I do. That was during COVID. So I've
Oh,
always
yeah.
said I would never do sleeves.
Uh-huh.
And then during COVID, I was like, well, we're working from home. Just gonna go back to the office. What are they gonna do?
That's funny, man.
And then end up leaving.
Yeah. So is it both sleeves? Is that all you have done so far, or you have more?
Chest, my back. My back's not finished, but
Same. You just got to get a majority of it, and then I don't know. That's where I'm at because it sucks so bad. Like I got the left lat. I had a big rose because I got a big skull on my back. Like the whole back is a skull, and it's got rose. It's supposed to be like laying in a bed of roses, but we just haven't finished all them roses because God, it sucks.
yeah, it's not
like
fun.
I'm supposed to go Wednesday. I think I'm gonna work on my leg this time. I got so many half-finished projects right now. Dude, it's just crazy. She's like, "What are we gonna do today?" I was like, "I'll let you know when we get there." You know,
It's weird. It's like during both. So like all mine on my arm are all Banksy like pieces and whatnot.
Gotcha.
And then this one's all like, well, Pikachu. Remy picked that one out and whatnot.
That's
but
cool.
All based on like mental illness and
gotcha.
whatnot. But I fall asleep. Like I disconnect and it's like a peaceful time.
Yeah.
When Mandy was doing this one, she had to like tape my arm down because I would twitch. She's like, you can't.
Yeah.
It's like therapeutic almost.
Yeah, I get that. And then sometimes it is and sometimes it is not. Like my throat was not. I went for
I
a
can't
therapeutic reason because I had went through some heavy things at that moment. And, well, I'll just tell you because it's kind of a funny story. And so I was it was in February a couple of years ago, and I was in Kansas City, Missouri shooting a wedding.
Okay.
And it was like -6 degrees. It was snowing. It was ice everywhere. It was a rough one to shoot. But it was a guy that I was in the Army with. And so that's kind of how I got the gig. And so they paid for my place to stay and everything when I was out there. And it was kind of like, it was in Excelsior Springs, which was just outside of Kansas City. And it kind of reminded you of downtown Clinton in a way.
Okay.
Like kind of what it was like. A little more to do and stuff, but kind of the overall feel. So they had the venue, and then right across the street was the Jailhouse Inn. And it was an old jailhouse they converted into a bed and breakfast. It was awful fitting for me, so I was like, thank you. But literally, like when you walked out of the venue, it was like 200 foot across the street. And it's just walking. So it was really convenient. And so I go, I get there on a Friday night. Saturday, I shoot the wedding, and it's like a 12-hour day. And so I finished before I even went over to the wedding, I went ahead and packed all my stuff and put it in my car, most of it. Because I was like, I'm not going to feel like doing anything when I'm done, and I'm leaving first thing in the morning, so I was going to put everything I can in the car. So I did go shoot the wedding. It's the end of the night, and I'm putting my stuff up, and I had just got off the phone with my wife at the time, and I was like, hey, I'm packing my stuff, I'm going back to the hotel, because she was about to go to bed, and I was like, I'll holler at you in the morning when I'm heading home. Like I said, dude, ice everywhere. And so I get off the phone with her, and I'm closing my camera case, and I look up, and there's a woman standing there in a red dress, the devil in a red dress. And she said, I know you're leaving tomorrow. I know you're married, and I know that you're staying in the hotel across the street, and I'll be over there in a little bit.
Oh.
And bro, I freaked the fuck out. And I was like, I don't know what to do right now. I was like, because as a man, you know, if you go back to that hotel, you're a long way away from
Making
home.
bad decisions.
Oh, yeah. So like, I remember I had to like I was panicking, and I was like, I remember talking to myself out loud, pick your stuff up and walk. And I get to my car, and it's like, open the door, put your stuff in the car, close the door, get in the car. Like, I'm having to literally walk myself through this right now. And all I had to do was pull across the street, dude. And like I said, -6 and ice everywhere. And I was like, just drive around the block for a second. Next thing I know, it's 2 hours later, and I'm on the interstate. And I'm just driving. I left all my shit and never went back and drove home right then, dude. And it was really not safe in any kind of way, because if I'm being honest, I had a couple of drinks of moonshine, some real moonshine, like not long
You
before.
drove back from Kansas City.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was a little lit there for a little bit, and there was ice, and it was like 2 hours of back
Not the
roads
best
to
decision.
get. Oh, no, it was the best decision. 100%, it was the best decision. And but when I got back home, so it was funny because I was supposed to be leaving early in the morning. Well, I come rolling in the driveway at 9 a.m. Dude, I was so tired. I remember I had
hangover while driving.
Oh, dude. Oh, yeah. I went through the whole hangover process while driving. And then by about Illinois, I had to stop and pull over for about an hour because I could not hold my eyes open anymore at all. And because it was a 12-hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I get back home, and I'm rolling in the driveway at 9 a.m. My wife's like, what are you doing? I was like, it was time to come home. I just was ready to be home. Well, later that night, I told her what had happened, and she got mad at me. And I was like, I'll go back right now. You know? But it messed with me because I was like, how are you mad at me right now? Like, do you know how hard that was?
You opened up and then got your hand
straight
slapped.
shut me down. Like, I thought I'd done good, you know? And no. And so, I was like, I'll go back, you know? And, but like after that, though, it messed with my head, though. It really did. And so I called my tattoo girl, and I was like, I need a throat tattoo. And my wife, the morning I was going, she's like, what are you getting today? I said, a throat tattoo. She said, no, you're not. I said, I'll see you in a little while. And sure enough, I did. And and it was, dude, it sucked. It was so brutal. And it was the first time I ever tried to use numbing cream. And it does not work on your throat. Not happening. And because the problem is when you put it on, you have to wrap it really good. And your neck, you just can't. And so, but I was like in a really messed up headspace. And so I was like, I want this done, and I want it done as fast as possible. Well, I could only make it through about 4 hours at a time on it. And so I went 4 weeks in a row.
Every week?
Every week, 4 weeks in a row.
It's
4
really
hours
healed
session. Dude, I had to shave the morning before. Brutal. It was so bad. And so it wasn't as therapeutic as I was hoping for, but I will never forget it. Ever. The back of my neck was probably about just as bad, I would say. It was rough. And the throat wasn't as it just felt like a really intense dry shave the whole time. Like a really heavy dry shave. And then when she would get over in here, it would feel like it's up in here.
Yeah, the nerves twitching.
But like my Adam's apple really was probably the smoothest part of it.
Really?
The recovery was terrible, especially like down in this ditch and stuff.
Yep.
Like every time you try to turn your head, it was so bad.
Yeah, I can't.
But I've went for several therapeutic ones before, but my last one I think was my calf. I got an Icarus piece because I got Icarus syndrome bad. It's so bad. Like I want to fly to the sun as fast as possible, not because of adrenaline, just because I want to be there, you know. And then wings start melting, and I fall right back down. I've gotten better at it as I've gotten older, but it's always been one of my downfalls. Is like I can do anything that I want to do, but I'm 100 miles an hour, and I won't think it all the way through, and I'll end up messing myself up somewhere along the way. And so, Yeah.
I've actually got a tattoo gun machine. It's a cordless touchscreen. You go all.
He
Always
didn't
go
mean
all
to say
out.
gun, CJ. If you're watching this, he knows it's a machine. So she gets a little upset.
And actually let the kids do their name on
Oh,
the leg.
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Lily misspelled hers. And try again. I'm like, sweetie, you get this. You can't. You're
Yeah.
trying again. And she started doing smiley faces.
Yeah. My tattoo girl, she got done with me one day and she's like, "You want to give me a tattoo?" And I was like, "Sure." And I gave her a little camera on her, like her knee or something like that. Yeah. It's they're so much fun. Cash is her fiance. He was on here recently. I don't know if you saw that one. They're a lot of fun though. I think Cash might be there tonight when we go to the thing. They're really cool.
Well, now it's like ink. Back, I think my first 4 or 5. I used to have my name tattooed in tribal on my shoulder.
Yeah. It's cool as hell, man.
Yeah, ridiculous. Now everything's covered up and it actually has meaning behind it.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know. Like I've got it on my chest. Pain is inevitable, suffering's optional.
Gotcha.
Stuff like that. I got that after Aiden passed.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, I got a big raven on my chest, and it was a cover-up piece, and so it's a little wild. But I mean, she did good for what it was because
I've got a Pegasus, and
yeah,
around the nipples. And I think that's out of everything I've had done around the nipples was by far the worst.
yeah. So I've got
I don't know what it was.
I've got Trinity symbols around mine.
Okay,
And-
so that was one of the ones I had to cover it up.
Oh, yeah.
Wicked Ink.
Oh, yeah.
Picked it out of the book.
Yeah, if I'm going to be real honest, the
POE.
reason that I had, and that's something I haven't talked about, I guess, but it's just I guess a moment of honesty. And but my raven is actually covering a Swazi.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a rough time in life a long time ago. And but like, what do you do with that? Do you turn it into a window, or you know what I mean? And so-
Cannonball.
You know, I was just, I was an impressionable kid. It was just the people that I was with, and I was raised, I guess, with some, in the South, you're raised with certain prejudices, I guess, and stuff. Anyway, It's pretty heavy, and it was something I had to really fight and struggle with, and like overcome that, like just some thought processes that I had, and I actually had I did a skull on my leg right here. It's like a skull and crossbones. I had a tattoo machine at one point myself, and actually when I was in rehab, I was running a little parlor out of the halfway house.
Little side gig.
Yeah, it was. But the skull has a Swazi in the middle of its forehead, like Charles Manson style. And I had CJ put a target on there, like it's a boy,
Yep.
And so you can't even really see that one anymore. But yeah, it's just a different time, man. I was just such an impressionable, and it was also during my addiction where I was just wilding out, didn't care. I was so confrontational, man, and like I would
a
go,
rebel.
oh, dude, I would just run around without a shirt, hoping somebody would say something. Like I was just ready, and it really wasn't anything. Truly, for me, it wasn't anything just genuinely racist. Like I just loved that conference. I don't know. I just felt like I had something I needed to get out, or just I don't know. And I'll never forget.
That's crazy.
Dude. I was in rehab, and it was my second time in rehab. So this was been back in 2011, I guess. And I was in the bathroom. They had a community bathroom, and I was in there shaving my head. And a razor blade, and I'll never forget the counselor. He walks in there and he looks at me and he looks at my chest with like this most puzzled look, and all he said was, "How do you go swimming pool?" And I was like, "I just go." I just go. And I'll never forget. Like, what do you like? I always felt like I had something to prove, man, and it's just. I don't know, because I always felt like I never had any control when I was a kid. Like there were so many situations that I never had control of, and that's why I'm tatted up now. That's why I work out now, because I have control. Like if I don't like something about myself, I'll change it. And it just took me a long time to do that, because I've never felt like I fit in anywhere. I've never belonged anywhere, and I never just had a close, tight knit group of friends or anything. And I don't know, man. I always have felt like a black sheep. In the family, I'm the black sheep. You know, in high school, I was the goth kid, the big bondage pants.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Spencer's
yeah.
gift was your.
Oh, bro, I'd be up in Hot Topic. I'd be robbing them blind, bro. I stole my shit. I never had Zincos, but I kind of wish I would have, though. They're kind of coming back. I don't know if you've seen this.
Oh, yeah.
My son, my 16-year-old, coming in here the other day wearing some baggy pants like that. And I was like, I'm proud of you right now. And it's so funny because for years, I fought with him over skinny jeans because he'd wear this skin tight. I'm like, get them things off you. Regular boot cut. And like I fought and fought and fought. And now he's wearing these big baggy pants. And I'm like,
All right.
it's so funny, dude. But yeah, man, I don't know what else is going on in life, man. What do you want to do? What's your goals?
Oh, well.
Obviously, you
So
got a new business.
back in May. So I left Pilot after 20 years. Worked for another company for a few months, and then decided to go full time, jump off the cliff, and
it's the only way you'll ever make it, though.
Yeah.
That's
So
what I've always been.
I had tried to do kind of build the business while at Pilot and whatnot, and then divorce happened, and that throws a big knot in the chain. And I wish I would have done it 10, 15 years ago. The level of stress of owning your own business is a whole different level of stress.
Yeah.
It's manageable stress. You're not dealing with somebody else's stress that's rolling downhill.
For sure.
And in corporate America, I'd never fit in with having to put on a front and kind of the black sheep. I am who I am. Deal with it.
I get that, dude. So just growing this business. Is it just you? Do you have anybody else helping you right now?
Yeah. So I've got a business partner and a couple subs.
Mm-hmm.
And,
very good.
it's
dude.
going well.
Yeah.
Went 0 to 100 real quick.
That's awesome, though, dude. What else do you want to achieve? What else do you want to, like, what's the long term? Or is there anything else that you want to do? Or
really
is this just the
focusing
focus?
on the kids, on the kids and the business and just life.
Yeah.
Just making it.
I hear you, dude. That's where I'm at, man. It's like there's things that I want to do, but, like, I don't want to get back to that spot where, like, I'm neglecting the family again.
Yep.
Because right now I'm in a solid spot, and I know it seemed like people think, like, man, you're really, really busy. And I am busy. But, like, right now it's manageable, and I can still give the family the time that I need to. And
I missed out a lot on Remy's first couple years.
Yeah.
I was traveling.
Yeah.
And then when I was at home, I wasn't at home. I was
same.
And when Lillian came along, I made it a point to be there. And
Little girl changed you.
yeah.
Changed you real quick, man. I remember whenever we had Ellie, I remember it was like, because everybody tells you it's going to be different. They always tell you it's going to be different. But I remember when I got Ellie, it was like, I love my boys and I'll kill you. I'll kill some of my boys. But for her, I'll fight Superman and win every time.
Yep.
Every time. I mean, it's the craziest thing, man. And gosh, she's getting big now. And like, and I guess it's probably another thing that's kind of getting to me too. Like, she's 6 and like, she's still young, but she's the last one. I'm within 11 and a half years of this being an empty house, dude. And it's like, what's 11 and a half years? That ain't
You're not going to know what to do yourself.
dude. No, I'll find something to do. You know, obviously I'll find something to do. But I really want them to be involved with this. And that's like, me and my wife's been talking about it more here lately. And it's just like, I've been feeling guilty. It's like, why do I not have the kids involved? Like, I could be teaching them all of this. They are the future. They would pick up on this stuff so fast, too. Mm-hmm. And so, like, we're talking about, especially like with social media and stuff like that. Like, we got an 11-year-old in there, bud, that probably set us up for the rest of our lives if we just let her. You know what I mean? But it's just crazy, man, that like, but I never had that as a child. And so I'm having to come to these realizations of like, oh, this is what you have to do as a parent. This is a good thing. Like, this is your people. I'm responsible for the outcome of these kids. Mm-hmm. And like, I have the opportunity to set them up and be successful and never have to step foot on a job and work for anybody else, punch a clock. They could do whatever they wanted to. Mm-hmm. And I've just not been doing that. And it's just like, why? You know? So I've got to change it. So
Yeah, they're little sponges. Now's the time to do it.
They
Remington, he blows my mind. Call of Duty is his thing. He's 7.
Yeah.
And he plays under my account, and I've got all the chats turned off. So he's not
For sure. We're up in Call of Duty in here. We got all the chats off and stuff, though. And, but man, it's so much fun. Dude, this has been awesome, though. What, like, if you had to leave anything for some other gentlemen, some advice, anything at all, what do you think that you'd give? Because obviously you've been through a lot.
This statement is actually on the back of my truck, and over the last few years, it's meant a lot. Don't let the hard days win.
Yeah.
'Cause it's very easy to get in our own head, and during these tough times, to succumb. Our minds are our worst enemy.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I've lost a lot of people to suicide, and it's a very close thing in my life. And you go through things, it comes to your mind, but okay, that decision is not worth it. Like it.
No.
Everything is manageable. Everything can get through. That's why I love what you're doing, and men need more men with each other.
For sure.
It's like during the whole divorce stuff, I tried to do therapy and trying to find a counselor, and there's the wait lists, and
Dude,
like, oh, we'll get you in
same.
3.5 months. I'm like, I need to talk to somebody now.
Yeah.
Like I'm struggling, and when you get to that point of the struggle where you're willing to come in, that's a vulnerable state.
It is.
I mean, for years, I didn't even open up to my own family. So just a complete stranger to spill your beans, and then
Yeah.
to be told, oh, you gotta wait.
Yeah,
wait a
I
few
had that
months.
same problem, dude, and it discouraged me so much from even wanting to talk to a therapist even more, just because I was having trouble finding one. I finally found this dude, and we had 2 or 3 sessions, and then he just ghosted me, dude. And I'm like, man, maybe I'm really fucked up. Man. It kind of messed with my head. And I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, man, I'm sorry.
And then you gotta find that balance. So they just it's at whatever $150-$200 a session per hour. You're like, are you getting anything out of it, or things like this? Talking to other men and actually having transparency, just day-to-day struggles. I mean, we all go through it. We all have to be strong for our families and kids, and got to put on that front. But deep down, we're softies, and we have our own battles, and it's frowned upon to be emotional and to break down. But sometimes it's what you got to do. And
Yeah. I've realized, here's something I've been realizing lately, and it's something that's been brought up, I guess, a few times now. When you were a kid, did you learn to compartmentalize a lot?
well, as men, that's how we're wired.
Just to naturally do
Yeah,
that?
our brains. What was it? I do a lot of audiobooks. I can't read. I do audiobooks. I can multitask going on. And there was I can't remember the book name, but the way they described is women's brains are a ball of yarn. Men's brains are wired like a long hotel room, and we can come in and out of a room and deal with an issue, leave, close the door, and then move on.
Yeah.
Women's we have that ability to kind of segment and compartmentalize issues and ignore areas that we need to focus on.
But for me, when I was a kid, though, I felt like with just all the things that were constantly going on, I had to learn to compartmentalize at a younger age, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, because, I don't know. Because I feel like, I can't speak because I don't have that experience, but I would imagine that if you had just a pretty base level childhood, you don't really learn a lot about that compartmentalization until you hit the real world.
Yeah,
and
going
stuff.
through
So I've got some friends that are
split
like
family
that.
and stuff. I can see how that during this whole, we're just now and at a place where of kind of a balance with the kid's mom, and we're in a good place.
Yeah.
It took a couple of years to get there.
Yeah.
But trying to make it as seamless for the kids, because
100%.
that's going to be something that sticks with them.
Mm-hmm.
And mom's house, dad's house, and trying to make it as balanced as possible.
100%, man. And it's hard to do sometimes. Yeah, I'm struggling like that with my ex-wife right now. We're kind of we're getting along great, all things considering. Like, we're really, chill and calm, and we co-parent pretty damn good together. And but yeah, man, like sometimes I get them jabs.
Oh yeah,
And I'm
and you
just
just gotta bite your tongue.
Because it's not worth it. It's not worth it for the kids, because if you start back with the jabs, then you know that the mouthpiece
I have a
starts
much
running.
sharper tongue.
Yeah. Well, it's not just that though, but then once
Out of emotion.
yes, but then once that other party gets riled up too, and they're around your kids, and now they're getting a very one-sided. Maybe that's what I worry about. So I'm like, just shut up, Zach. Just let it go.
That was my thing through the whole process. I just bite my tongue, and it's very easy to badmouth and talk negative and just back and forth, a tit for tat, and so I just kind of isolated. You think long term. I think men have a ability to see the big picture,
100%,
and kind of take a step back and
rationalize in the moment a little better. Yeah, I get that sometimes, and then sometimes I'm terrible. It just depends on the situation, I guess.
Yep.
But anyway, dude, once again, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
stopping by. This has been fun, man. I appreciate you just opening up and talking. Man, you've been through some heavy stuff. And that's the thing, dude. Until you start talking to somebody, you just don't know, man, what somebody's been going through and what they just deal with every day. And then it just helps you keep your own life in perspective, and just, I don't know, man. We're all just out here struggling together. Nobody's got their shit together.
And everybody's got their own battles.
Yeah.
And,
Everybody.
Yeah.
Every single person, man. And it's so profound that we can just think that we're the only ones.
Mm-hmm.
We can get so caught up and it's just me. I can't talk about it because I'm the only one that's, but it's not. And it's crazy. So we're going to change that, gentlemen. That's what we're here to do. And so, gentlemen, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you stopping by and just hanging out and humoring us a little bit. And I hope you find some value to it. I hope it does something for you. If it does, do me a favor and subscribe and hit that notification bell. I always forget to say that. I got to get better on doing that.
Checklist.
And, I'm telling you, I got to have a checklist, an ADHD checklist. And so, but gentlemen, thank you so much. I love you. Tell your people that you love them. If you don't have people, find people, and then tell those people that you love them. I'll talk to you later. I'm Zach. This is Man to Mike. I'm out.